Welcome students to the class on midday meal programs in India. This class will help you understand how midday meal was formulated in India, what were the objectives of midday meal in India, and how the program was implemented in India. When we talk about midday meal is popularly known as school lunch program or noon meal program. It involves provision of lunch free of cost to all school children on all working days. It is the world's largest feeding program, providing meals to over 13 million school children. This comes under the Ministry of Human Resource Development. On the recommendation of National School Health Committee, the Government of India started a scheme for providing midday meals to school children in all states with effect from 15th August 1995. But when we talk about the history of midday meal, the midday meal program was started in the pre-Independence Day era, that is in the year 1925, in Madras as part of the People's Movement. Here, the food was given in the form of a snack to children who attended school. The food was given without any discrimination and it targeted the needy households. This sort of a program started picking up momentum and the governments on a nationwide basis stepped it up in 1962-63. The official launch for midday meal program was first done in Tamil Nadu by the then Chief Minister M.G. Ramachandran on 1st July 1982. It was first started in rural areas and then the program was extended to even urban areas. Now, this scheme gave a great relief to the parents who are poor and were prepared to send children to work for a meal. The scheme got attention in nationwide only in 1995 with the aim of universalization of primary education. Universalization of primary education means education to all irrespective of caste, religion or creed. When students started coming to school, the incentive was provided in the form of midday meal. The universalization program increased the enrollment, retention and attendance, simultaneously impacting on nutrition of students in primary school. The scheme was first implemented in 2,408 blocks and then it covered the entire country in a phased manner. The program originally covered children of primary stage, that is to say from class 1 to 5th, in government, local bodies and government aided school. And then the program was also extended to cover children studying in Education Guarantee Scheme and alternative and innovative education also. But until 2001, the midday meal scheme was implemented neither in letter nor in spirit. It was only providing dry rations in most of the state. This began to change after 28 November 2001 when the Supreme Court order on the Right to Food campaign directed all the states to provide cooked meals to all primary school children. In a relatively short period of time, MDM became a part of the daily school routine across the country. It has gained considerable popular support, especially among disadvantaged sections of the population. Coming to the objectives of the midday meal are improving the nutrition status of children in class 1 to 5th in government, local body and government aided schools. Encouraging poor children belonging to disadvantaged sections to attend school more regularly and help them concentrate on classroom activity. Providing nutritional support to children of primary stage in drought affected areas during summer vacation. The next objective was to provide food to meet the gap in nutritional requirements, particularly in poor children, to bridge the gap of malnutrition. This would help the children not only in improving the nutritional status but also improving their performance at school. It would indirectly act as an incentive for sending children to school. Now, midday meal, when we have seen the objectives, it has three crucial areas. One is the educational advancement, second child nutrition and social equity. Each of these objectives in turn has different aspects, some more ambitious than the other. The basic contribution of midday meal to school advancement is to boost school enrollment. Going beyond that, midday meal may be expected to enhance pupil attendance on a daily basis and not just annual enrollment. Meaning to say, children come to school to attend the classes. When they are hungry, they cannot concentrate and they cannot learn anything. But when midday meal was given as an incentive, the students fared better in their exams and the learning abilities increased. So that was the effect on midday meal on the educational objective. Then the midday meal also helped in giving intrinsic educational value, in addition to what it contributes to the routine learning process. For instance, school meals can be used as an opportunity to impart various good habits to children, such as washing one's hand before and after eating, and to educate them about the importance of clean water, good hygiene, a balanced diet, and related matters. Similarly, when we talk about the nutritional objective of midday meal, it has many layers, ranging from elimination of classroom hunger to the healthy growth of school children. In many aspects, a midday meal program is a nutritional stream. Why? Because children come every day on their own to the school and they eat whatever is given to them. This makes it possible not only to raise the intake of calories and proteins, but also to provide nutritional supplements such as iron and iodine. Iron and iodine supplements should be ingested in small doses over a period of time to eliminate its deficiency. So, midday meal becomes an ideal platform to give iron and iodine supplementation. Midday meal also provide an excellent opportunity to implement nutrition programs that require mass interventions. Available experience indicate that these interventions are highly effective. For instance, a combination of mass deworming with vitamin A and iron supplementation can significantly enhance children's nutrition for a little as ₹15 per child per year. Coming to the contribution of midday meals to social equity, it also has a variety of aspects. For instance, midday meals helps to undermine caste prejudice by teaching children to sit together and share a common meal. They also foster gender equity by reducing the gender gap in school participation. Midday meal also provides an important source of female employment in rural areas, and it has also helped liberating working women from the burden of having to feed children at home during the day. To some extent, midday meal also reduce class inequalities. Indeed, in contemporary India, children enrolled in government schools come mainly from disadvantaged families. So, these were the objectives of the midday meal, and hence we can know that midday meal has contributed to better education achievements by improving the nutritional status or at least eliminate classroom hunger. Now, when we talk about the midday meal, it runs through a central assistance provided by Government of India to states by way of free supply of food grains at the rate of 100 grams per student per day to be provided as a cooked hot meal with minimum 300 calories and 8 to 12 grams of protein content, or equivalent pre-cooked food, or to supply of 5 kg wheat or rice per month per child in a family for 10 months. If there are 2 children in the family, then that particular family will get 10 kg wheat or rice per month. So, to be eligible to avail this facility, the beneficiary has to attend school for 20 days in a month. Now, how midday meal was formulated and what were the norms given to formulate the meals? It was given by National Program of Nutrition Support to Primary Education. It is also known as NPNSPE. The norms were first given in the year 2004, which included that the primary school children should be provided with at least 300 kilocalories and 8 to 12 grams of protein through midday meal. This norm was revised in the year 2006 in which 450 kilocalories and 12 grams of proteins were to be provided through midday meal, and it also made a provision to supply adequate quantities of micronutrients like iron, folic acid and vitamin A through the meals. The program was even extended to upper primary school children in 2007, and the norms were that midday meals should give at least 700 kilocalories and 20 grams of protein with adequate quantities of micronutrients. Let's see a sample menu for the midday meal. In the sample menu, cereals and millets 100 grams per day per child for a primary school children is given, and for upper primary 150 grams of cereals and millets were provided. Pulses 20 grams for primary and 30 grams for upper primary. Oils and fats 5 grams for primary and 7.5 for upper primary. Vegetables 50 grams for primary and 75 grams for upper primary. As we can see, the midday meal is given on a combination of cereal and pulses. The inclusion of leafy vegetable has increased the amount of vitamins and minerals and has also helped in the clearance of deficiency symptoms. The combination of cereals and pulses has increased the quality of the protein, and hence it has also resulted in weight gain among the malnourished children. To increase the protein requirement of the meal, eggs are also given as a part of the midday meal program once or twice a week. Further, some of the states have used MDM scheme as an opportunity to overcome common nutrient deficiencies and to facilitate related health interventions such as mass deworming. Now, the National Institute of Nutrition, taking the model menu as the base, has prepared model recipes for the preparation of school meals suitable for North and South Indians. The National Institute of Nutrition is of the view that the number of feeding days in a year should be 250 to have a desired impact on the children. In formulating the midday meal, certain broad principles should be kept in mind. First, the meal should be a supplement and not a substitute, meaning whatever the child is consuming at home, they should consume, and along with that, in addition to that, midday meal should be consumed. It should not substitute the home diet. Secondly, the meal should supply at least 1/3 of the total energy requirement and half of the protein need to address to malnutrition issues. Thirdly, the cost of the meal should be reasonably low as it has to be provided to so many children, and more children can be made a part of the meal if the cost is reasonably low. Next, the meal should be such that it can be prepared easily in schools and no complicated cooking process should be involved. As far as possible, locally available food should be used. This will reduce the cost of the meal, and the menu should be frequently changed to avoid monotony. Moving on to the finances of the midday meal. The finances in the midday meal is required to procure the ingredients, pay the wages for the cooks, and even the fuel cost to cook the meal. The grain, that is the wheat and the rice, is supplied by the central government to the state government free of charge at the rate of 100 grams per student per day. Besides this, the central government also subsidizes transport of grain from the nearest Food Corporation of India, that is FCI, to primary school children. Other costs include the cost of the ingredients such as pulses, vegetables and cooking oil, fuel cost and cook's wages. The Government of India pays 40% of expenditure and 60% is borne by the state government. Now, midday meal is provided either through centralized kitchen or decentralized kitchen. Centralized kitchen, it is an external organization which cooks the food and delivers the meals to the school. It is mostly based on public and private partnership, and it is more common in the urban areas. In decentralized models, Meals are cooked on the site, that is in the school, by the local cooks and the helpers or self-help groups. The midday meal should contain adequate nutrients and should be palatable, hygienic and operationally feasible. The food safety guidelines are for the school level kitchen only, where the midday meal is cooked for children. Quality assurance of midday meal and food safety should be an integral part of food handling procedures at the school kitchen. The food provided through these kitchens should be nutritious, free from food adulterants, contaminated pathogens, artificial non-food grade colors, additives, and adhere to food safety and quality norms. Food safety encompasses selection, handling, preparation, storage of food in ways that prevent foodborne illness and contamination. Transport of food grains. As mandated under MDM scheme, food grains are provided by Food Corporation of India. The FCI is to ensure continuous availability of adequate quantity of food grains, which will be in any case not less than of fair average quality in its depots. The sample of the stock proposed to be lifted will be drawn jointly in the presence of the representatives of the collector or chief executive officer. Then these samples of the lifted food grains shall be retained for 3 months in a token of quality of grains received from the FCI. In case of any complaint of low quality of food grains is received within this period, these samples can be used to ascertain the veracity of the complaint. Lastly, the guidelines relating to lifting and transportation of food grains are based on the guidelines issued by MHRD, that is the Ministry of Human Resource Development. Now coming to procurement of oil, pulses and other condiments, only packed dals, salt, spices, condiments and oils with EGMA quality symbol should be purchased. Any ingredient being sold loose should never be bought. The packaging and expiry date of the ingredient should be checked. Only double fortified salt should be used for cooking midday meals. Food grains should be stored in standard bins, while plastic food grade containers are ideal for storage of dals, spices, condiments and other ingredients. Procurement of perishable raw material. Vegetable, fruits and perishable food commodities should be procured fresh and storing for longer time or duration should be avoided. Perishable items should not be stored in plastic bags as they get spoiled quickly due to lack of transpiration. Such items have to be stored away from sunlight in a cool place. Storage of raw materials, ingredients should be subjected to FEFO, that is first expire, first out, or FEFO, first in, first out. Containers made of non-toxic materials should be provided for storage of raw materials. The food materials shall be stored on racks or pallets such that they are reasonably well above the floor level and away from the wall so as to facilitate effective cleaning and preventing harboring of any pests, insects or rodents. No raw materials or ingredients should be accepted if it is known to contain parasites, undesirable microorganisms, pesticides or drugs or any toxic items, which would not be reduced to an acceptable level by norms, sorting and or processing. All raw food materials, food additives and ingredients wherever applicable should conform to all the regulations and standards laid down under the relevant laws. All raw materials should be physically checked and thoroughly cleaned. Raw materials should be purchased in quantities that correspond to storage, preservation capacity. Packaged raw materials must be checked for expiry date, best before, use by date. Storage of raw material. The supply of food grains like wheat and rice should not be stored for more than a quarter. They may be stored in airtight bins or stacked neatly in gunny bags or bins and stored in area free of rodents and insects. Food grains should not be stored directly on the ground. A wooden plank should be used for stacking of food grains. In respect of storage of other raw materials, it should be stored in bags, should be away from the wall, that is about 1 feet, to avoid absorption of moisture. The height of the wooden plank may be at least 8 to 12 centimeters above the floor. Ingredients like double fortified salt, condiments, oil, soya bean, pulses, etc. should be stored in airtight containers. All containers should be of materials that do not impart toxicity to food. These containers should be cleaned at regular intervals and thoroughly dried before use. It should be ensured that ingredients used for cooking such as food grains, pulses, vegetables, cooking oils and condiments are free from adulteration, contaminants, pest and infestation. All stored raw materials and ingredients must be kept under dry and cool and ventilated conditions that will prevent spoilage, protect against contamination by pathogenic organisms, insects, rodents, foreign bodies, chemicals, etc. This implies that the food and non-food materials should not be stored in the same area, and not all the food materials should be stored together because of the risk of contamination. Storage of fuels, disinfectants, detergents, cleaning agents should be strictly away from the stored raw materials and kept under lock and key. Next, moving on to the coordination between the scheme and the education. Midday meal program is meant to boost children's participation and learning at the primary stage and not to interfere with it. The program should not be implemented in such a manner that it in any way adversely affects the duration or quality of actual teaching, learning in schools. Village education committees, parent-teacher association should make arrangements so that as far as possible, at least 2 of their members are present every day at the time of serving meals for testing of meals prior to being served to children, with a view to ensure that it is of good quality and is wholesome, and supervision of actual serving of consumption of the midday meal so that it is done in an orderly manner and children consume their meal hygienically. The midday meal should be so organized that the entire process of serving and consumption of the meal does not take more than 30 to 40 minutes, and the children should attend their classes after finishing their meals. Midday meal program has resulted in the following, that is, reduction in severe malnutrition of children, increased enrollment rate among children of primary school, reduced the dropout rate among schools going children, developed attentiveness in them and thereby improved their power of comprehensiveness, improved their performance in examination, decreased the incidence of various diseases and physical disorders caused by starvation, enable parents to attend their routine bread earning task, the gender difference in feeding the children reduced at home, a favorable attitude in parents towards educating the children, specifically female children. With the achievements of the above objectives, the Government of India has extended the benefits of the scheme up to 10th class, providing 700 calories and 20 grams of protein. So, this class was about the midday meal program in school children, and you have seen how the objectives of the midday meal were framed and how midday meal are provided in the school through centralized and decentralized kitchens, and how these samples are procured from the different areas under the food safety norms. We can clearly see from when the program was implemented and till date, there have been so many norms and there have been so many changes in the midday meal program. And the midday meal program has resulted in so many achievements that it was extended to even 10th class to provide the midday meals under this scheme. Coming to the conclusion, today's class on midday meal helped us understand how the midday meal was started, what are the objectives of midday meal, and what are the norms of midday meal on which it was formulated, and how the midday meal is supplied in the schools to all the children. Thank you.